Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our next guest joining us. Tesla Renew is her name, and we're talking about renewing your health, and so much more. She's doing that with our mind, our body, our spirit through so many different healing therapies. So first and foremost, let me say welcome. How are you today, darling?
I am fabulous. How about you?
I'm doing well. And you know, you're in Idaho, correct? Where specifically?
I'm in Boise, Idaho, the capital.
Beautiful. Never been on my bucket list to come there and to come visit. It's one of those things. I have two little kids now, 10 and 8, maybe not so little, but trying to travel at every state, and I've never been to Idaho. So you're on my bucket list, darling.
Great. Give me a call when you come through and I'll tell you all the highlights and where to go.
I will. Thank you so much. So first and foremost, would you mind just introducing yourself to our listeners to start?
So my name is Tesla Renew. The Renew is part of my business name, Renew Your Health. And basically, my experience is a deep understanding of healthcare and therapies that allows me to tailor treatments unique to each client and ensure the most effective and personal care that somebody can experience. I have over 30 years as a CNA
Mhm.
and 30 years as a massage therapist. And I continued my education in fitness, nutrition, hypnosis, and reprogramming.
Wow. And then I even read your expertise in hypnotherapy, diet, nutrition, physical therapy. I mean, there's a lot that you do, and we're going to get to that for sure. How can we contact you to start? Do you have a website or phone number or social media pages you want to share
So
with us?
the expressway is to text me at 208 266 4545. Tell me what you got going on, and then I'll send you back a text to see how I can help you and assist you. My webpage is tryh.abmp.com.
Perfect. And I'm on your website learning more about you and excited that you're here. Before we continue talking about all the work that you're doing and how you're helping people with all these different modalities, I want to find out about you. Tell me, where you're from. Walk us through your background and, how you got into this field. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit of your backstory, I think we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I started in 1968 on an Air Force base in Arizona.
Okay.
And my dad was in the military, and I got swept off to Germany at the age of 6 months old. And
Mhm.
I spent my lifetime beginning fundamentals in Europe, traveling on a VW bus with my family, learning all across Germany, Switzerland, and all these other places. And I really feel like a lot of seeing the wall up and seeing the museums and the history, I think at the age of 2 and 3 years old, just had a deep impact in human survival and human healing.
Wow. Okay, this is amazing. So I can't believe it's crazy even in business this long because you don't look old enough to have all these accolades under your belt. And but that's amazing. You look great, you feel great, and you're helping people, and clearly have a lot of experience in, your craft, which is awesome. Awesome. All right. So Tesla, by the way, I just got to ask about your name. A lot of people know your name because they think of Tesla like the car. Tell me about your name. How did you get the name Tesla? Where did that come from?
In my 20s, I did a lot of spiritual
Oh,
retreats, and I did the Course in Miracles in my 20s, and there was a fire walk. And so I went to do a fire walk, which is a whole process, and the name Tesla kept coming up. And so I decided, because of some abuse I went through in my childhood, I was going to change my name to Tesla, not knowing anything about Nikolai Tesla, the scientist. Now, all these 30
ah,
years later,
yeah.
I now do galvanic energy. I now do a lot of the Reiki energy and different healings. goes right along with Nikolai Tesla, my hero.
Beautiful. Thank you for clarifying that and teaching me. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Obviously, I've heard of him, but
Welcome.
didn't know the significance and the backstory here. And speaking of backstory, well, did you want to share anything else about yourself before we continue to talk about the work that you're currently doing and how you're helping so many people?
I think for me is I had to overcome a lot of obstacles. And so instead of focusing on the problem, I focused on solutions. And so I always laugh when I say my education, but that's because I ran into a problem with physical problems,
Hmm.
fitness, exercise, and my clientele as a CNA didn't get any of those things, but brief moments of it. And so in order to heal my family and heal my clients, I felt like they needed more time in those areas. So I just kept on learning what my clients needed more of.
Hmm. Which seemed to be more on a spiritual level. What was it exactly?
I believe that you have to touch somebody's soul
Yeah.
and really know their story and understand them, which you don't do in healthcare. And you have to understand where they're at. And a lot of times I'll look at people and say, do you want to live or die? I can help you go either way. And with that impact, then you start going through the mind because the mind controls the body and the
Hmm.
systems and things like that. But
Yeah.
once you know what's really in their soul and what they want and what they're seeking, then you just go through the systems of life and recreate what they need and what they want. This is supposed to be our happy place, and we have to learn to create that around us and take control over that and not give it to other people.
Wow. Well, I want to ask, specifically about some of the modalities that you're using. And I love, by the way, if you go to the website, which I hope everyone is, you say travel with someone to improve your life in three committed steps, right? So this is body, mind, and soul. Do you want to discuss the hypnotherapy aspect first, or where did you want? This is your show. I want to make sure we're covering everything, especially because it's our first show together. So I know there's a lot that we want our listeners and viewers to know about you.
So I always think it's easier to start at the top and work your way down. So I was doing emotional reprogramming in virtual clinics back in 2015.
Wow.
And people don't understand perceptual reframing. And so I was doing all those with my clients with developmental disabilities, schizophrenia, autism. Just, I had a lot of the clients from health and welfare nobody else wanted to deal with.
Hmm.
And so I created the programs to help my children and my clients be able to process stuff in a healthy manner. And so I found a hypnotist school that was founded in 1968, and that founder was a counselor. And I had 18 months of hypnosis. And by combining the emotion with the story no longer has a strong impact. It was the emotion that locked you into your belief system and how you perceive everything. So I feel like if you can get the story out and then use the emotional reprogramming, hypnosis, and CBD to really go down deeper and get to the soul level of what's going on with your mind and body.
Ah, interesting. Because a lot of us could be disconnected from this, right? And we need to bring back the focus, right? And that's what, not everyone could do by themselves. We sometimes need guidance in our lives. And who do you turn to? Tesla?
It it's hard.
It is,
It's
yeah.
it's hard out there because I my clients are the severe veterans, quadriplegics, people that I call the untouchables that nobody else understands and they're just a disease and a diagnosis.
My goodness. Wow. I can't even imagine. You know, so many people out there. I lost my mom to lung cancer. You have people with health issues that really, some can be helped, some can't, but you always try. And I hear like even, hypnotherapy is something that can really change the facet of things. But I know we'll get to that when you're ready. But yeah, I want to hear more about that as well.
But as far as people with disease, it's about touching them and giving them hope.
Mm-hmm.
What you cannot take the disease away, but if you can help the fear, and a lot of clients, when I've done hospice and respite care, they can't really talk to their family about that. But
Oh.
what I like about what I do is I help the client, but I also can help the family members as they process through that bridge of unknown.
Exactly what it is, the bridge of the unknown. I like I've never heard it that way. I like that way. I'm going to use that from now on, thanks to you.
You're welcome.
So when you're working with people on this bridge to unknown, right? And it really is. I mean, anything's possible, right? I feel it's not just positive mindset, but there is, I'm sure you believe in, well, I believe, and you can tell me if you, but there is something about mindset and the way we're thinking and choosing to think and being more open to things, right? Instead of being more closed-minded and limiting our beliefs in a sense.
Right. Well, and in my emotional reprogramming, it actually has 12 negative emotions, 12 positive. And then the way I explain it to people is you're either analytical or you're creative. And what this does is it teaches your brain to solve that a problem going back and forth without the trauma, without having to go into much detail. And then it identifies those emotions and then it identifies where those come from. And then my job is to take you on a journey to create that into your hero's journey. And like if somebody is really chronic and they have a lot going on, I always look at them and say, I can't heal you, I can't fix you, but you have a wise self within you. And my job is to give you the tools and to help you understand how you can become the miracle.
I love that because miracles do exist. And let me ask more about these steps and this process that you mentioned. How does it work to work alongside of you? Obviously, in person works, but also over, Zoom like this as well. You have a lot of clients.
I do both. I have virtual and then I do go into people's homes. And the easiest way that it works is you give me a discovery call. We go through and find those pillars that you want to rebuild and get going. We discover what color you are. We use the chakra system. Red for you've got a lot going on and you're in the 911 stage. Orange, you got quite a few symptoms, and then into yellow, and then into your heart center, into green. And then those are just questions. And then what we do from there is we do a facial recognition scan. I send a link to you. It goes through four major systems, six lifestyles. I use that as my evidence-based therapy. That's my foundation. Then from that foundation, each one of those systems that are based off Chinese medicine, I have education. So I do a pre-class with you for you to write things out, to really journal, to really shed it. So by the time you get to me and we start in therapy, you've already processed some of your work and it really helps me. Then we go through and decide the combination of what your body needs. And then we go back and do courses because what I found is what I do is hard to explain. It's an experience. So now this year I'm really excited. I'm taking all the work that I've done with clients and now I have courses that go along with the therapy and explaining it So by the time you get to me and you sit down and you're wanting to work with your person or place or thing, you already kind of have started to process it. It's like cracking open an egg, a shell, a beautiful flower, and you just continue to grow and blossom from there.
I love that. I want to remind everyone at this time because we're halfway through, a little over, but how do we contact you if someone is listening right now and saying, "Hey, I like this Tesla Renew"? How can we find you? By the way, you're also on social media. I don't think we mentioned that before. I perused your Instagram page before, and by the way, you can just go up, look at Tesla Renew. That's, I know, Instagram. What other social media pages are you on?
So I am not as great with the social media, but my goal this month is to really get on there. So all of my social media is Tesla Renew, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I'm doing some private Facebook groups also. With my Facebook page, that's just Tesla Renew. And then I have a business also with that, which is Renew Your Health. And then, like I said, the express easiest way to get a hold of me is I'm kind of old school, is to text me at 208 266 4545. Give me a text and say what you got going on. And like, I'm open and honest. If it's not something I'm able to help you with, then I redirect you to somebody else. I mean, I'm
Oh.
here for resources, I'm here for support.
Yeah, well, beautiful. We love hearing from you, and I hope our listeners do reach out to work with you. And just to point out, I also, just looking at your notes that you've sent, you really want to foster, you mentioned holistic healing and to help teach these self-care, guides in a sense, or self-care habits to so many people. Can I just ask, this is more of your vision, right? Because you got the mission and the vision section. Could you share a little bit about that?
Well, my vision is to not have somebody walk through what I have or my clients have walked through, but then at the same time, those stories of my clients have helped empower other people. But my main vision is to teach holistic healing and foster self-care for you to transform and to build a co-op services for physical and emotional well-being that everybody can invest in. And my mission is to just really give you back your wise self, give you back your control, and realize you're the real healer. I'm just an assistant. I'm just on the sidelines cheering you on. You're the real healer.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You say it that way, right? But some of us feel so lost, don't feel we can do it, and need that guidance, need you as our cheerleader, right?
Right.
Do you want to share
I
some of the
just,
stories of the your people you've worked with? I would love to hear.
so a couple months ago, I got a phone call from a lady that was in a car accident in 2006. She waited years and years to get her leg amputated partially underneath the knee. And
Ah,
this year she's had four open wounds, and they were talking about amputating it up further. And she was scared and she was upset. And she kept on going to wound healing and this and that. And so I was able to get her some stem cell patches. And I said, because you have open wounds, it's hard for me
mm,
to do massage. So let's get the stem cell patches on you for a couple weeks. I'll come back and revisit you. I went in and I started working with her. Nobody had ever given her exercise. Nobody had ever given her any ways in watching her posture analysis, watching what was going on. Within a few weeks, that wound healed up. And then we
wow.
started working on the car accident and her emotional trauma with all of her life. She had basically a soap opera life. And so then we slowly just started picking through. With the emotional reprogramming, you're guiding me when you're ready to move to the next stage. And so with the emotional reprogramming, I was able to unlock a lot of the other physical and emotional elements that she had.
Wow. Amazing. I love hearing these stories, right? Hearing, seeing, believing, and just to let people know they have hope, right? Because some people come to you and they've lost hope.
Absolutely.
W-
And then one other story is about my son who was eccentric. He didn't fit in. He had a really hard time with society. And I created all these programs in order to help him. He didn't get diagnosed with autism until he was almost 17 years old. And so a lot of the things that I do are tools that he taught me how to do. And now he's living independent. He is out on his own at the age of 25. He decided to come off all his medications, all it, and we were able to do that because of the systems I had created. And he goes out and he helps other people because I taught him your disability is not your disadvantage, it's your advantage and your empowerment. And nobody gets to treat you like a disease or a diagnosis. And medications assist, but they don't change lives. You do.
Oh, beautiful. And I love the inspiration that you provide. And do you offer an initial consultation? Is there a charge for to reach out to see if you're a good fit to work with you?
So I always do at least a 30-minute discussion call virtually with somebody to make sure we have a good rapport and it's something that I can help. That's always free. And then within the next couple weeks, I will be having open sessions where people can do Q&A and we can just talk about stuff. And then you decide what type of map out program that I do. And a map to me means make an action plan because
Yeah.
without action, there's not going to be a change. And then my rates vary. I have it all outlined, and it just depends on where you're at and what you've got going on. So I can go from 25 bucks up to 3,000 to 5, just depending on where you're at.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we have only just 2 minutes left in the show.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
I know it goes so quick. So what else did you want to make sure we know about you before we do have to go? Go ahead.
That I'm here to understand you and help you redirect and build your own power within yourself. That I'm here to walk through and support you where other people weren't willing to support you, that I don't judge your story or where you've been. I am just here to get you to a better space in time.
Aw, and I love that. And self-care is super important. I'm assuming you make that a priority for yourself. I was going to say, who's taking care of you? Are you taking care of you?
Well, one, I'm really lucky I have students underneath me. And
Oh,
so I work with my students and I do fitness, I do exercise, I do nutrition, and my clients take care, students take care of me, and I take care of my students.
beautiful. And if we want to reach out to you to work with you, would you mind sharing again all the ways we can reach you?
Fast and quick, that phone number 208 266 4545. And then look me up, Boise, Idaho, Renew Your Health, and Tesla Renew on social media. You can go to my website and book at Massage Book, and that website is tryh.abmp.com/.
Wow. Well, I commend you on all the work you're doing and what you continue to do for helping so many people. And yeah, I love seeing and hear. I just can't believe you've been in business so long. It just doesn't seem right. As I look at your website, I'm like, how's 30 years? What, 30 years? Oh, one thing I didn't get to ask you quickly. I'm so sorry. It was something I did see earlier when I knew I was going to talk to you. What is Zyto? I'm not familiar with Zyto. That's something that you offer.
So Zyto is a biocommunication app. I have a hand
Oh.
cradle, and then I have a facial recognition scan, and that has been the foundation of my work. So if somebody's out of area, I can send a hand cradle to them, and we can do all our
Oh,
sessions
all right. Well, I
virtually.
want to hear more about that. Maybe
And
next
it's
time if we speak, please. I'm curious. I would love to see it. Thank
okay.
you. All right. Well, thanks again for being here, and you have a
You're
fantastic
welcome.
day. Tesla Renew. I'm feeling renewed and supercharged speaking with you. Thank you for being here, and I'm glad we finally got to make this week happen. Thank you again.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.